Suicide. Even the word seems to have a stigma to it. It's a topic that many young people are starting to discuss more because of the hit Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, a show that, without giving away too much, goes into the 13 reasons why a teenage girl decided to take her own life. But as 47 ABC's Julian Sador explains, it's not just this series that makes this a relevant topic right now.
That's right. Spring and suicide actually may have a correlation that you might not know about. I know I certainly didn't. That's why suicide prevention advocates are pushing for more awareness. We take a look at that possible connection tonight in part one of our two-part series called Warning Signs.
You know, we do tend to look at people and think, oh, they're so strong. That wouldn't be a problem. No, that happens in other families. No, I mean, I really didn't consider this as an option.
For those who lose their loved ones to suicide, many never believed it was going to happen until it was too late. For Michelle Nelson, too late was April 30th, 2014, the day she lost her big sister Susan to suicide.
I just had a feeling, and I called him back, and he told me his mom was gone, and I said, what did she do? And right away he picked up on my phrasing and said, why did you say that?
For Susan, life had dealt her a few rough hands, most recently the death of her mother.
And I think she really depended on my mom for a lot, just for support. And you know, she had a lot of struggles in life, but I don't think she really reached out and told anybody about them.
Once the life of the party, by the time their mom passed, Nelson says her sister was already deep in depression.
The last picture I have of my sister is from my mom's funeral.
For Kelly Green, her too late came on May 14th, 1998, when she lost her soon-to-be teenage son, Darren, to suicide.
She went and she came in because I think he's dead. I was like, what? I mean, I ran into his room, and it was very obvious to me that he had passed.
Too late may seem too harsh, but counselors say it's important to realize that suicide can affect anyone, no matter their age, race, or even social class.
It's an equal opportunity killer. It doesn't discriminate.
For Green, Darren's death came as a complete surprise. A fun, loving, smart, and intelligent boy, an Eagle Scout with a full life ahead of him.
He loved exploring where we lived. There was some new construction happening near the water's edge. So there were all kinds of things being dug up and turned up. He loved going and exploring all of that. He was still doing all of those things. So for us, you know, it really was kind of one of those total blindsides.
Since her son's death, Green has been working to raise awareness about suicide. The suicide rate has risen 24% since then, with the pace quickening, according to the most recent report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The period of year we see the biggest rise? Right now, springtime. Something Ron Pilling with the Jesse Klump Suicide Prevention Program says defies popular belief.
Most people do believe that holidays, because you have memories of holidays when you were happy and now you're not happy. That the holiday period is a spike, an upward spike in suicides, and that, in fact, is not the case.
Statistics from the National Center for Health Statistics show suicides traditionally spike when the weather heats up. Pilling says the worry is that people go on false alarm during the winter. The thought that all the holiday movies showing families together make people at risk of suicide more likely to go through with it. Then, once the holidays pass, people may let down their guard at a time when they need to be watching out for suicide the most.
You know, you do tend to think, well, everybody is happier in the spring. Everything is better. It's new life, and the grass is green, and the fields are green again. And I know, but for some people, that is the most hopeless time. And now I've come to find out that my sister fit into this statistic.
That trend is also seen in the amount of suicide calls the Life Crisis Center in Wicomico County handles. In all of February this year, they received 13 calls. With most of April done, they had already received 20.
People have different schools of thought about it. Some are that through the winter people have been in such a doldrum and they've been thinking all winter about not being able to go on anymore. And the spring brings them just enough energy and clear thought process to be able to follow through.
The reasons why springtime sees a spike are simply speculative because the people with the answers are no longer here. However, the reason why they take their lives seems to have a consensus.
I believe the same reason is true for everyone who dies of suicide, and it's that they're in so much pain, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, a combination of all that, that they can only see one way out.
When folks get in that really, really dark place, they're not thinking logically or maybe rationally. All they're seeing is the darkness and feeling, you know, like the world would be better off if they weren't in it.
We know the latter isn't true.
You know, the person thinks that, okay, they'll just take their life, they're free from their problems, nobody has to deal with them, and everybody's just going to go on. Well, everybody doesn't just go on. It makes it worse.
Suicide is a death all its own. The grief is different. It comes with a lot of guilt, and it certainly comes with a whole bucket load of shame.
The official term is survivor's guilt.
I can guarantee you nobody blames themselves any more than the parents of a child who's died by suicide. Quite honestly, I don't think a parent ever quite accepts that it's not my fault on some level.
Now, part of that guilt comes with the question, what could I have done to prevent this? In part 2 of the series, we'll discuss what suicide prevention tips are out there, what resources are available. Plus, we'll hear more from both Michelle and Kelly about how their personal stories apply to all of this.
Thank you, Julian. That was 47 ABC's Julian Sador reporting for us. If you at home are struggling or you know anyone who is struggling, you can get help by calling the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-TALK. Their hotline is available 24/7, 365 days a year.